Ciao friends! In this video, I want to write with you some DAX code to perform the lookup of multiple values in a table. We have a sales table, we have a promo table, and in sales, I want to retrieve columns that are in the promo table. The two tables are not linked through a relationship, so we will need to author some DAX code. There are multiple ways of solving the same scenario. We will see some of them. And in the meantime, we will also look a bit about performance in order to understand which of the multiple version is the better in your specific scenario. Let's get started by looking at the scenario together. We have these two tables. We have sales and we have promo. I'm not using Contoso for this specific demo because I want a smaller data set. So date contains the date, the product, the customer, and the quantity. In the promo table, we have the month and the product that was on sale in that month. And then we have the campaign and the media. What I want to obtain is a table that merges together the two tables. So I want to generate a table where both the campaign and the media column from the product table are moved into the sales table. And the result is a query. Now, because the result is a query, the first thing that I need to do is open DAX Studio. Oh, I was about to forget that the two tables are not linked through a relationship. You see that promo and sales do not have any relationship. The reason is that they do not share any column. The product table is shared between the two, but I would need both the product and the month. In the promo table, I only have the month, whereas in sales, I have the date. So either I create an artificial column to build the relationship, or I just write some DAX code to look up for multiple values. As I said, we need DAX Studio because we want to run some queries. So I just open DAX Studio and let's get rid of it so we have a bit more space. The first idea we can work on is to use lookup value. Lookup value is a simple function that retrieves a column from another table using equality operators. It's simple, it's effective, and it gets the job done. So let's use it straight. I can evaluate. I want to add the campaign and the media table and the media columns. Let's start with campaign. So I need that column because I want a new column. To sales, I want the campaign, new campaign column. And I need the month number and the product. The product is already there, but the month number need to be computed. So let's create a variable current month, which is the value, the month of sales date. And then in the return part, we use lookup value. We are searching for promo campaign, where promo month is equal to the current month, and where promo product is equal to sales product. I can use straight sales product because I have my row context. Okay, this closes add columns, and if I did everything correctly, I should be able to run this query and obtain my result. Let's enlarge this a bit. We have the customer, the product, the date, the quantity, and the campaign. The only row with no campaign is this row in February for Marco. The result is fine, but I didn't want only one column. I wanted multiple columns. I wanted both the campaign and the media. So I can just rely on copy and paste. I have the code that retrieves the campaign, and I can duplicate that. I need a bit more space. We can also get rid of this. So we retrieve the media, which is absolutely identical, the only difference being the column that I retrieve. I also need a comma, I guess, here. Let's run it, and we do have our result. We have now the campaign and the media in a single query. everything is working fine. So this query as it is works just fine. But the thing is, I created by using copy and paste. Now, I'm a big fan of copy and paste. I think it's one of the greatest inventions of the previous century, but it's likely that the code will not be super optimal. Indeed, I'm asking twice to do the lookup value, once here and another one here. Lookup value is transformed into a calculate, so it will need to do the lookup operation on the promo table. But we never trust our judgment. We always try to understand what happens by asking DAX to tell us what is happening. So we can enable query plan, server timings to investigate a bit about what the engine is doing. Let's run the query again. And now if we look at the server timings, you see that we have several queries which are executed. The first few ones are just retrieving smaller data sets, but then we have one query that retrieves the month, the product, and the campaign from the promo table with a condition. And we have a second query that retrieves the month, the product, and the media. So one query for the campaign and one query for the media. Therefore, you see that the optimizer has not been able to optimize the scan and produce only one query to retrieve campaign and media at the same time. Using copy and paste did not help, so we need some new ideas. One idea might be that of using generate. Generate is a useful function. It's an iterator that scans a table and joins two tables. Using generate, I can retrieve a table containing the two columns together. I can create this table with row and hope that this provides a better experience. Let's try that with generate. So instead of add columns, we use generate. Generate iterates over sales, and generate requires a table. So we can generate a new table here containing only one row, where the first row is this lookup value. Yeah, but I can take the current month and compute it earlier. Now I have a variable that contains the current month, and I can use my lookup value here. Then I use media. I save the creation of okay, I save the calculation of month only once, but I still have lookup value twice. I don't want to have lookup value twice, so I need a different idea. What I can do is use this as a condition in calculate and retrieve the values of the promo campaign and the promo media. So I apply the filter only once and I use values to retrieve those values. That requires reshaping the query a bit. So that needs to be a calculate table where instead of this code, I will campaign with values of promo campaign. Then I have media with values of promo media, a media. This generates my row, and I still need to apply the filter. The filter will be that the month is equal to the current month, now no longer a comma, but equal to, and the product equals to the sales product. So I compute the current month, and then I use the current month and the product as filters in calculate table. This code is not going to work, and the reason is the conditions in calculate. One of the conditions, this one specifically, is using two different columns. So if I run it, I obtain an error, and the error says that the expression contains multiple columns, but only a single column can be used as a Boolean conditions in calculate. So I cannot use sales product here, but I can save it in a variable. Current product. I just saved the value earlier, and then I use it here, current product. Written in this way, now I use values here, and I place the filter only once on the table. I run it, I get my result. Let's look at the result. It should be still correct. Yes, we have all the data here. Let's see if we saved anything. We have still the same set of queries to retrieve individual values, but then we have one query to retrieve the campaign and another query to retrieve the promo, the media. So we still have two different queries. The code is a bit shorter than earlier, so it's kind of good, but we didn't save a lot. But at least we introduced generate. The problem is likely to be generated by the fact that we have twice values. Let's look at that. We have values here and we have values here. So we are splitting the calculation of the campaign and the media into two separate branches. We might try to use a different approach. One approach is that of, instead of using row to generate a table with one row only, we can go for select columns. So we actually create the link between the two tables computing the two columns in a single select columns. Let's give that a try. Instead of using row, I can use select columns. So I select columns from promo, campaign, which is just promo campaign, and media, which is promo media. This scans the promo table, returns the campaign and the media under a filter which is placed earlier. If I did everything correctly, that should work. Let's give it a try. We have our results and we have the server timings. Now with select column, I'm actually now joining two subqueries. And let's look at the query. We have the first query that retrieves values of sales, then the month, then the product. And this is nice. You see that now we have only one query here that retrieves at the same time the campaign and the media. So we moved one step further. This query looks a bit better. But if we look carefully at the results, you see that we have 4 rows here. And if we look at our original dataset, we have 5 rows. The row that is missing is the one that didn't have a campaign. Indeed, using generate, if the table returned by the second argument is empty, the corresponding row in the first table is not returned. So we moved one step farther, but we also moved one step back because we now have a problem that we do not have all the data. Luckily, there is another function which is generate all. Generate all is like generate, but it returns rows from the first table even though the second argument returns an empty table. It's enough to go here and use generate all. By using generate all, now we have the row containing the data, and if we look at server timings, we still have the nice query that retrieves the campaign and the media at the same time. Now, before leaving the topic, you see that we are using this syntax in order to place the filters. Month equal current month, product equal current product. There is an alternative syntax that you can use. It's probably not better, but we can investigate on that. That is using treat as. Power BI uses a lot of treat as. Instead of using the equal condition, you can treat as the current month as a promo month and treat as the current product as a promo product. That should work. It does not because treat as requires a table. This is just a number, so I need to move that into a table here and here. This returns the same result, but uses treat as instead of using the equality operator. And if you look at the code, it's also a bit better actually, because it retrieves the values from sales and again with a single query retrieves the campaign and the media. There's a good reason why Power BI uses a lot of treat as. Treat as is very well optimized. So Not to say that equality operator is bad, but it's always good to give it a try. So to try expression with 3000, try the expression with equality operator and check before taking a decision which one is actually working better in your specific scenario. Now, before we leave this topic, there is another way of obtaining the same result, because so far we mixed together different expressions. But we can do another operation. We can rely on a function named natural left outer join or natural inner join that is able to join two tables based on identical columns. So it takes two tables, scans them, and if the table have columns with the same names, those columns are used to join the two tables, and then the result contains the full join of the two tables. That way, I will be able to look up for multiple values and move everything into a single table. Let's give that a try. We can actually kill everything, and we can just use natural left outer join. So natural left outer join, let's use variables. It's probably better. Let's create a first variable that we call S. We want to retrieve from sales the columns that we want. So we need to retrieve select columns. From sales, we want to retrieve the customer, which is sales customer. We want to retrieve the product, which is sales product. Then we also want to retrieve the date, which is the month of, no, it's actually the sales. No, we want, yes, the date, because we will want the date in the result. So we take sales date. And we also need the month that will be needed in order to perform the join with the other table, which is the month of sales date. The reason I'm using a variable is because I want to show you the result of this first query that retrieves a table containing customer, product, date, and a new column, month. I cannot look at that, all capital case. So we now have the month lowercase, which is way better. Now I need to create a similar table starting from promo. Let's call it P, where we do a select columns from promo. From promo, what we want is the product that we need for the join, promo product. Then we also need the month, which is promo month. And then we need the campaign, a campaign, which is promo campaign. And finally, the media, which is promo media. Okay, let me return P now. This is still as sales. We have customer, product, date, and month. If I return the same table from product, I have product and month. The first two columns will be used for the join, and campaign and media that I want to use to retrieve the values. Now I need to join these two tables together. And to do that, I use natural, I don't want an inner join, natural left outer join, and I join sales with promo. If I run the query now, I obtain an error. Why that? Well, natural left outer join is able to join the two tables, but it uses either the lineage of the columns that need to be the same or the names of the columns. In this specific scenario, the lineage of the two tables is different. One is coming from sales, the other one is coming from promo. So I cannot join the two tables because columns with the same name have a different lineage. Because I could change the lineage of the table, but it's actually better to break the lineage of the entire query, so to have columns that are joined only based on the name. Now, to break the lineage, what I need to do is just replace the reference of columns for which I want to do a join. Breaking the lineage, instead of using the column, I will use an expression. I'm not using customer, I'm using product. If I just use sales product, it will keep the existing lineage. I'm gonna break it adding an empty string. The month already does not have a lineage because we are using month. Here, for the month, we are fine because the previous column does not have a lineage, and for the product, again, we need to break the lineage. If I run it now, I still have a problem with the month. Yep. I need to break the lineage also here. If I now run the query, you see it returns 5 rows. The results contains all what I need. And if we look at server timings, it does one scan of sales, one scan of the promo table. It is worth to note that right now here we have no longer filtering conditions. If you remember, and if not, you can go back in the video, previously the scan of the promo table contained a where condition, so it was retrieving a subset of promo. In this query, it's retrieving the entire promo table. Natural left outer join works beautifully, but it runs entirely in Formula Engine. So it needs to retrieve entirely the tables and then perform all the scanning by itself. So it's not always the best option, but it's one of the many options that you have available. As you have seen, there are multiple ways of authoring the same code. Initial problem was looking up for multiple values. We tried several different variations of DAX code. Some were good, some were bad, some were just okay. You always need to investigate before choosing one technique because the results might be different depending on the model, on the data distribution, on a lot of different variables. But the nice thing is that as when you become proficient with DAX, then you can author the same expression in multiple ways and seek for the best one in your specific scenario. Enjoy DAX!